council meeting to order, and I'll go ahead and call upon the clerk to take the roll.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Here.
Councilmember Newton?
Here.
Councilmember Bash?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bowen?
Here.
Mayor Gardner?
Here.
All present.
Thank you, ma'am. At this time, we will have Councilmember Sullivan lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me in the salute to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Madam Clerk, are there any public comments for our meeting this afternoon?
No, Mayor. I have no cards.
All right, thank you very much. Then we will go ahead and move on to item number 2, which is the start of our workshop. Today we're going to be looking at our budget initiatives for the 26-27 school year, and I'll go ahead and hand it over to staff for the presentation. Sorry, calendar year, fiscal year, not school year. Just got on work, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, Council. This afternoon we'll be discussing the budget initiatives for fiscal year 26-27. These initiatives represent proposed projects, programs, and service enhancements intended to align the city's strategic goals and community priorities. So the purpose of today's workshop is to present the budget initiatives for the next fiscal year separated by each department. Departments have made some initial proposals of what they would like to prioritize for the next fiscal year. These will be items that in addition to their day-to-day activities, are of particular focus that can be a project, programs, or other initiatives. We will then align these with City Council priorities of what the Council would like for us to focus on for the upcoming fiscal year. Each initiative will take resources, whether it be staffing or other budget appropriation for each department. So each department will determine how to best fund these initiatives with either a regular general fund expenditures or utilizing general fund reserves if one-time costs align with those. Utilizing Measure R funds, reallocating existing funds from current priorities to any potential new priorities, or if none are available or are presently feasible due to staffing or funding constraints, we could potentially present as a future fiscal year item. How this aligns with the overall workshop, how this workshop overall aligns with the regular budget process is we kick off each fiscal year with the implementation of an adopted operating and capital improvement program for CIP budget. Periodically, staff reports back throughout the year periodically reports back each year, which recently we brought back the mid-year budget along with the proposed adjustments based on updated facts and circumstances, whether from when they were initially adopted. We will then start discussions for next fiscal year budget with a workshop with council discussing the initiatives and priorities, which is what we're doing here today. The rest of the budget season follows with the staff will go back and incorporate into their department budgets and other identified funding sources to the extent possible these initiatives that are discussed today. We will then report back in the May timeframe with the overall operating and CIP budgets, with the overall estimated dollar amounts and overall current picture incorporating those initiatives. Do note that we'll be having a separate workshop for CIP projects, and this will be discussed in further detail. At the end of the fiscal year, well before June 30th, we will then adopt the operating and CIP budget before the end of the current fiscal year. All budget initiatives should ultimately support the city's vision and mission. Overall mission is to serve the residents, businesses, and visitors to provide friendly, ethical, and cost-effective services and provide a high quality of life that values the city's identity as Horsetown, USA. Our vision reinforces maintaining Norco as a family-friendly community with a strong equestrian animal-keeping lifestyle. The initiatives also reflect the city's core values, which were adopted back in December 2025. of which these include the agrarian heritage, all-American small-town character, cultural and animal-keeping lifestyle, rural and equestrian-oriented atmosphere. We ensure that these budget decisions are not only financially sound, but also consistent with the city's identity and long-term goals. We want to highlight that the city's organizational structure did go through a reorganization during the fiscal year by consolidating certain departments into community operations. Overall, there are approximately 7 primary departments ranging from the city manager's office, public safety, sheriff and fire, administration, community development, community operations, finance, and public works. Focusing on community operations brought 2 major departments together, community services and facilities and maintenance, into one consolidating divisions such as animal control, park maintenance, special events, to better align their organizational objectives. We will be presenting each of these departments and their respective budget initiatives for the next fiscal year. After each department, we will then pause to address council questions and provide their priorities of council for what the department, where the staff will provide responses to council comments. Kicking us off with the city manager's department is overall developing a emergency preparedness operating plan. Is to better prepare for potential natural disasters and other initiatives. Once the plan is developed, we will be providing training to all stakeholders. The next major initiative will be the strategic plan update. The city's current strategic plan, which takes place every 5 years, is ending at the end of the current fiscal year. We are in the process of preparing an RFP to utilize a consultant to facilitate the process to the strategic plan, which will be our guiding document for the next 5 years. With that, I will pause and see if there are any questions of council with respect to the city manager's department on their current budget initiative, or if there is any council initiative with respect to this department that they would like to see for the upcoming fiscal year.
Does council have any questions at this time? Maybe?
I do. Strategic plan update. 5 years ago, did we use a consultant?
Yes, a consultant was utilized during that process.
And are we thinking using the same one again?
Or an RFP will be utilized, and the best responsible consultant will be selected.
How much did we spend 5 years ago on that consultant?
I think last time it was a ballpark approximately $80,000.
One thing to add with that is that we have done a significant amount of community outreach, especially with our mission and vision, through the general plan community outreach process. So we've had some preliminary internal conversations on whether we would really need to put as much community outreach into the scope of the next strategic plan.
Just have Kelly write it.
When she finishes the general plan.
That's my point.
We like the last one, I'm sure.
Any other comments or questions for staff? All right, thanks.
So the next department which is the city clerk's department. This department is primarily the custodian of all the city's records, which are on multiple mediums from paper and digital, even down to floppy disk in some circumstances. Citywide, one of the major initiatives for that department is citywide document scanning. Is to conform. We want to use this process to conform to the latest best practices for digitally storing all cities' records, and have a consistent filing methodology. They will be leading the effort to assess and to have performed the document scanning through the various departments. Second initiative will be record management policy update, which is kind of complementing document scanning. We'll be updating our records management policy to a city-specific and incorporating all departments' latest document types, and to assure they are properly structured. This year is an election year, and the city clerk's department will be doing their statutory obligations as part of the election process. which will utilize some budgetary resources. That concludes City Clerk. Any questions of council? Kicking us off to the next department, which is communications. The website domain updates as part of our new legislation. We will be updating the city's domain to .gov. Communications, as part of the process, will be ensuring that all of the city's materials, such as signage, forms, or any other particular document, reflect this change. IT will be doing the back-end changes by end of the calendar year to ensure that we remain in compliance with the legislation. Additionally, they will be working on any special projects for community outreach that come forth during the year, such as the recent RTRP initiative for Bury the Wires, which they have gone strong community engagement. Having this available helps ensure that they are well positioned to proactively address any legislation items that may arise and to continue supportive response, community-focused communication efforts. The final initiative for the upcoming fiscal year is the 6th Street Gateway Digital Board, which was installed back in March of 2016 and is starting to show its age a little bit with ongoing maintenance needs and is in need of replacement. This will be a CIP project utilizing primarily its replacement fund that has been accumulating over the past 10 years. Any questions for communications?
On the replacement sign, so 2016 originally that was redevelopment money
I believe it
that
was.
we used. It was unspecified redevelopment money. And how much have we been setting aside for replacement of the digital portion, correct?
Yes, we have approximately $75,000 in the replacement fund.
And once again, ballpark on replacing it?
Assuming maybe 100 ballpark. The entire sign installation, based on what I was able to find, was approximately $205,000
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago.
Correct.
It's quite TV.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's all I have here.
All right, it brings us over to community development. Its primary initiative will be zoning code amendment, which will aim to align with the city's new general plan soon to be adopted. This pertains to the city's land use element. As we update the general plan, the zoning code regulations and maps must be legally conform to those general plan amendments. Secondarily, they'll also be focusing on CRC and accordion site studies. Due to the impending closure of the CRC, the department is proposing conducting some studies for the most effective use and value for those sites. Studies for those will be ranging from environmental site assessments, building, infrastructure, and utility and inspection reports. Happy to address any questions on the particular initiative for that department.
Colby, can you expand a little on the zone code amendment? Where Josh, you just said we're just going to look at the land use element,
And once the general plan gets adopted,
right?
then there's legal requirements to make sure that the zoning code or the municipal code, of course, comports with the general plan amendment that we just adopted. Most of that is in the land use element with the zoning map and the land use designations, the land use designation map, GP. So a lot of those, we will get a full report of all the amendments in the general plan that we'll have to carry over into a zoning code update. And so there'll be a laundry list of items to tackle. Some of those things staff can do, and some of those things certainly our legal support can do. We're very good at that. But if it's large enough, it may require a consultant to help bridge a gap.
So with the consultant we're using for the general plan, they're just going to provide a laundry list?
Yeah, they will provide a report of what we would need to do to true up our municipal code to the general plan update.
And you said a lot of this could be done in-house?
There is, the challenge is bandwidth.
Mm-hmm.
So, and often these documents are updated concurrently,
Right?
so you have a pretty pure, document to document. But once we start getting land use applications that'll speak to a portion of, in the land use element or the housing element, and Norco will want to propose X, and when they look at the zoning code, it's not consistent. And so we are creating inconsistencies between those two documents by the jump pass. So I need to true up the code side.
Thanks.
Just a comment, when we met with Rosenthal, the attorney for the historic site, I was really impressed with Colby in terms of, he seemed to really understand the process when she was talking about different groups and just all the stuff she talked about. It was really, really...
Councilmember Bashy, please turn on your mic.
Oh,
You guys have to share.
I was just really, really pleased. You seemed to understand what she was talking about, so I was really encouraged by that. Good job.
Super high tech.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions or comments? So then, just for clarification, council members, please grab the microphone and turn it on when you are asking questions, so that way the public there you go, the public has access to that information. Josh.
All right, it brings us over to community operations. Three major initiatives. The hall is in need of a rebuild, and as it has surpassed its useful life. This will primarily be funded through development impact fees and Measure R funds for certain elements of the project. There will also be various facility improvements, primarily to animal shelter, sheriff station, and Wade Macon Sports Complex. Focusing on the sheriff station is the lobby and bathroom, which will encompass architectural design for various ADA upgrades. Animal shelter will include general kennel upgrades for existing cinder blocks kennels, upgrade of kennel lighting, and upgrades of the feline kennels. The Wayne Macon Sports Complex will include installation of safety netting at fields 4 and 5, and exterior painting, treating, and facade repairs. Finally is special events. United States is celebrating its 250th anniversary, so we are looking to do a extra special 4th of July celebration to encompass that particular anniversary. Additionally, is looking at rescaling of events such as the concerts and movies in the park, given community attendance and popularity, rescaling them up or down 1 or 2, depending on the particular demand for those particular events. With that, any questions of council?
I have one on the special events. So those have to be set at the beginning of the year, like our fiscal year. So how are you looking at demand?
So we have, I think it was the demand from last year. They were very well attended, partly because of the new playground there. But right now we have two. We have 2 concerts and 1 movie in the park scheduled. We would like to add a 3rd concert to the schedule.
Well, and I do wonder, to some extent, how attendance was tied to the potential that those events were going away as well. So I think you have 2 factors. The new playground certainly added to the crowds at those events. And then, our budget discussions, I think, also potentially added to the attendance at those events. I will just say, me personally, we don't need something every single weekend of the summer. Because it just puts a strain on staff. It, perceived or not, it puts a strain on council for us to have to attend, and then that takes away our opportunities to have any family vacations or anything like that, because we're tied down every single weekend to an event. So that's just Robin Grandmeyer speaking, but I think for Norco, we just need to focus on what's best for Norco and not compare ourselves to our surrounding communities that are much larger, very different budgets and demographics than we do, so. Any other comments or?
One thing I do want to add is with having these initial discussions for these initiatives helps establish a general idea of the scale of the desires of council. So when we put into the budget that we will present the dollar values to it, we will bring to, let's say, a $50,000 event. That is essentially how we plan a particular event. Now, if there is more desire for one particular that requires more budget appropriation. So we plan utilizing those available dollars so that we don't have to come back for additional funding.
So I guess my question would be, and I want you to get through the presentation first, but there's been times in the past where we've gotten into the weeds on things, and I just don't know, what staff's perception is. Are we just given an overview and then like you're going to look at the head nods and then come back with an arbitrary number based on the number of head nods that you got from the discussion today and make a budget? Or I guess I'm trying to understand, like, what is staff's desired outcome from the presentation today?
So the goal for today is, we're developing the budget, right? So we want to make sure that whatever council's initiatives and priorities, this is what we as staff are seeing as this is where we need to include on our budget. Some of these items are new, but basically get your feedback on what your goals are to see. So like, for example, for sheriff, if we currently have our motor officer position vacant, right? We're covering through the patrol hours, but if council decides, it's really a priority for us to really have more patrol out there, then we need to adjust our budget to ensure that we're meeting that expectation of council. So the goal is really like, what is it really that's important initiative for council to make sure that we are including it, but at the same time, we need to be fiscally responsible with our budgets.
Are there any other council comments or questions at this time?
Yeah, I have a question. So does the special events, does that include like Memorial Day and Veterans Day?
Not for, we're not talking about it on this budget initiative, but those are they will be budgeted in the special events budget.
One of the things we need to think about is maybe next year, spreading out the Wall of Honor. We may have to put some of them, if it happens, hopefully it doesn't, on Vietnam Day. So maybe just in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
And no Pearl Harbor Day.
So, Mayor,
Yes.
to your comments, and then to Amanda, like last year in our budget, we talked about cutting back on concerts in the park and movies in the park. But we changed the location for movies in the park were dying on the vine at the community center. So we moved the movies to Pikes Peak, and it seemed you did less, but they were more popular. Is that correct on the movies, or was the same amount as we did the previous year?
It was the same amount or more, yeah.
I don't think it was more.
Was it more?
No, well, we had given a direction to have cuts and then they weren't cut.
Into this fiscal year. So, yes, last fiscal year it was still 4 concerts and 4 movies, and the direction was to cut 4th of July, but that was tied to a concert, and so that's where that direction. So that event continued. And going into this fiscal year that we're currently in, the direction was 2 concerts and 1 movie.
But this won't be the place to hammer that out. That's going to be in our next meeting.
Well, I would
When we
like
look at
some
those
sort, I would
costs.
like a consensus from the council on if they would like more, one additional concert. The community did reach out and said they would like more. So that's the reason why I did bring this up. It's just one additional concert, so it'd be three concerts and one movie for our summer events.
I'm fine with 3 concerts and 1 movie.
So I know last summer it was one every Friday. And is that, I know that kids are out of school and so everybody is kind of doing everything around summer vacation. But is it a way to spread it out so it's just not like back to back? If we're going to have 3 concerts and 1 movie, that's 4. Is it better to have them like every other week or maybe not back to back? It's just a thought I had. But I did see a lot of people at the concerts. I would be in favor for the 3 concerts, but just 1 movie. Thank you.
We could look at spreading the last one out. These are already set, but we can adjust.
Going with what everybody's talked about, we used to have dances up at Eagles Park. They've just kind of pretty much gone away. And I don't know how we can, I would feel like we could have maybe 1 or 2 and then go in partnership with some of the other groups and say, look, and it won't cost us a lot, going by, money wise, we can get with a couple of the groups and say, hey, look, we're gonna give you the park. Well, we're gonna supply the park, you supply the entertainment, and get it started back up, because that's a soft spot. That's where I met my wife. So, and a lot of us used to go up there. The posse always had one once a month, and if there's some way we can just, work that in, have. I'm just thinking out loud here. It'd be nice to have a dance up there. Even if it's a DJ dance, but it's food for thought.
Thank you.
Did I misunderstand? So 4th of July, I thought we were going to do something special for that.
We are. That's in addition to.
It's the mayor's ride.
We got that big calendars.
I think the community groups that put on the ride last summer did an excellent
They
job.
did.
And
So the
they,
city can
Yes,
give that
they
up.
they did, yeah.
All
No,
for that.
our mayor's right.
Question on facilities, sheriff station. Didn't we recently do a remodel there?
Not to my understanding. I know that there's been issues. I know it
Or
was.
we had some improvement? It's
The CAST report has shown that there's ADA improvements needed to the restrooms at the sheriff's station. And then with the recent lobby improvements here at City Hall, the sheriff department asked for improvements to their lobby to look consistent with the rest of City Hall. So this would be an architectural design for the front lobby of the sheriff's station and also those restrooms in the station. Ever since I've got here, they've been asking me for the improvements to the restrooms.
I went to go look at the bathrooms, and those haven't been updated in years, so I don't know if they've.
Is
When
this
was the last time they were
the holding
updated?
restroom?
No,
Prisoners?
for the sheriff's
This
staff.
is for the sheriffs.
Okay. Give them a fresh coat of paint. That's all it needs.
Is it flush?
The restrooms are in. They have showers in there as well, and so this is. They're quite old and they do not meet ADA standards, and it has been brought to our attention, and it is in our CAST report as well to make these improvements.
Do you have an estimated cost of what it might cost?
No, we just have an estimated cost for design, which I'm estimating at around $30,000 just for that design. Once we go into design, they will give us a engineer's estimate for the cost.
What's that look mean?
Pardon?
What's that look mean? They
Well, I
really
just
made-
wanted to figure out how much of it was a small amount. But I think it's gonna be 30 plus. It's gonna be over 30.
Oh yes, the $30,000 is probably just for design only.
Yeah.
You're looking anywhere, I mean, as a WAG, I mean, probably $300,000 or more.
Okay, Josh. Bring them along.
Brings us over to the finance department. One of the bigger projects for this department will be the ERP assessment. This essentially is our financial system, which is the backbone of our city financial operations, but it does also incorporate other city departments. Our current financial system is slated to sunset in 2029, and we'll need to find a new system that will facilitate the core financial functions, but also incorporate the various other departments, and would also bring efficiencies and additional community uses. This assessment process brings in current processes, but also incorporates potential changes for modern best practices using potential new system features. The second initiative of the department is to explore various new funding initiatives with revenue increases not keeping pace with expense cost increases. We are looking to explore means of increasing certain revenues or introducing new revenues aimed to balance the city's ongoing expenses. Such an example will include potentially raising the TOT tax rate or potentially doing audits of hotels to ensure compliance with local ordinances for their quarterly reporting. We would then bring forth this data and proposals to council for consideration and potential move forward with those initiatives. With that, happy to address any questions.
I have a question on the TOT. So are we in a spot right now, calendar-wise, that could potentially go to a November vote, or what's the timeline on looking at that? Or is that like a 2-year process? What are
It would be so if considered, it would go for 2028's election cycle, which presidential election cycles are most ideal for vote for items of that nature. So we would use the next year and a half, 2 years to provide data, do community outreach, discussions with councils. It gives us plenty of time to assess and without having to hurry up on it.
any other questions for finance?
Yeah. Outside of the TOT, can you expand a little bit more on the revenue ideas that you have?
Yeah. Potentially another grand idea could be introducing a parcel tax for public safety as being one of our primary expenses within our general fund. That one is also slated to have the most increases each year, so that one would help curb some of those costs in proportion to our other revenue sources.
With the parcel tax?
With additional parcel tax, yes.
So I don't know if this is the appropriate place to put that out, to put this out, but on future development projects, housing projects, whether it's like Jalopy or apartments, whatever we have coming in, is to require a public safety CFD.
That is also an option, depending on how those are incorporated. And so, but essentially, what this would do is either create multiple CFD zones or one citywide CFD zone incorporating that parcel tax. Multiple avenues would be explored as part of that initiative.
I mean, to me, that's our most long-term exposure is on any type of housing. is public safety.
Right.
And then, I don't know if you're angling towards is not the right term, but it's like anything on the horizon like a debt deficit. Do you see that?
No angle to that, but as far as the way the trends are looking is at some point it's going to outpace.
Right.
So this will be, instead of us waiting 5 years to see the problem, this is to be ahead of that problem. Or potential problem, excuse me.
We can't print Norco bucks like the U.S. government can.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my concern, long term, and especially back to that public safety CFD.
Yeah. It's one of the few ideas that can be into there to help tie some of our current revenues up to current standards.
Thanks, Joshua.
Mm-hmm.
When I was up at Cal Cities, there's a new initiative called the Local Taxpayer Protection Act to save Prop 13. What they're trying to do is go back to the state constitution, which is a 2/3 vote. They're saying that the judges had misinterpreted it, and while we didn't push it forward, the room was actually full of public employees, almost no elected officials. So they, of course, all said, no, we don't want to do this, but it means that things like, would that affect the TOT? This is probably something for you. Would that affect raising the TOT tax? If we have to put it to a vote, will we need, if this passes, and I suspect it will pass, but will that affect, will it have to be a 2/3 vote for the TOT? And then I know for sure the parcel tax would go to a 2/3 vote. I don't know what the ramifications would be if that passes. Supposedly the state constitution says that transfer taxes, that's why I contacted you, would go to a 2/3 vote, and they'd also come under scrutiny. So maybe we need to look at that.
We can, but it's a public safety parcel tax. It's a special tax anyway, so it's going to have a 2/3 vote.
Okay.
So yeah, it'll take 2/3. The reason is because when you propose these, you propose it for a popular program, public safety. And that's why Prop 13, Prop 218, all these constitutional amendments require a higher vote, which is anti-democratic in my opinion. If 50% of the people, or 51% want it, state constitution says you can't have it. But that's a soapbox. But yeah, for a special tax, for a particular service, it's still a 2/3 requirement anyway right now.
So maybe just something to put in the back of our heads.
Yeah. I would like to check that out though. What you said it was the
It's
public?
called the Local Taxpayer Protection Act to save Prop 13. And apparently they have the votes to put it on the ballot.
It's somewhere out there.
Yeah,
Thank you.
there's a whole bunch of scary bills.
The next department will be human resources, specifically staff training and development. HR will work with the various departments in establishing a series of training programs for staff to ensure proper compliance with current regulations, but also aim at developing staff for professional growth. Department of Labor salary wage compliance is one of the major tasks of HR is to ensure compliance with various labor laws and regulations, including annual state-level requirements for city and staff. One regulation being focused on for long-term budgetary considerations is annual wage salary compliance adjustments. The intent of the department is to take a proactive approach in adjusting salary schedules at the minimum wage level to avoid compaction, whereas wherever possible when establishing baseline salaries for exempt employees. Lastly is putting in our requested recruitments of future staff is 3 new positions, which will include an IT technician for the amount of workload within, to address the amount of workload within the department, utility compliance coordinator, and events maintenance worker. That concludes the items for human resources. Happy to address any questions.
So, position requests. Are these like carryovers from last year?
Two of them are the utility compliance coordinator and the events maintenance worker.
An IT technician is new.
Correct.
But I thought last year wasn't that those requests running up to like 3 or 4 in IT?
We did have the IT analyst position, which is still currently vacant. We had a recruitment hired, didn't pass probation, recruited again, and it was a failed recruitment for the IT analyst.
But last year we didn't talk about an IT technician.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
IT technician?
Yeah, you were underfilling the IT technician with the
Oh,
analyst, and then last year we brought in a full-time IT technician to be permanent in addition to the already approved and funded analyst
That is
position.
correct. Thank you, Kellen. That is correct. But this one is an additional than
Got it.
last year's.
Any other questions?
Information technology. Utilizing a consultant-supported project management. There are various projects in the IT department that are in need to be addressed and will require a consultant to aid in supporting the management for those projects, either with the third parties relating to the project or with city staff. With the regular day-to-day duties, IT staff are not able to achieve some of these larger projects, so utilizing a consultant project management would help achieve crossing some of those projects off the list. Additionally, our current room closet of a server room is in need of expansion to fit the current scale of our city operations. Staff will be focusing on that project so that get it in proper setup given our current and future needs. With that concludes IT. Any questions?
How much crossover is there between the ERP assessment and the consultant-supported project management for IT?
These particular projects would be not related to the ERP assessment. That'd be separate projects.
So then, is there the potential that we would have 2 consultants working simultaneously on IT stuff?
So the one for ERP specifically will be a consultant directly related to skills and experience relating to software implementation of that nature, versus the other projects would be installation of the server room, for example, is that consultant be utilized to oversee that project with those consultants along with any other IT projects.
So we're looking at the financial system that you said sunsets in 2029 is completely separate and away from IT. Is that correct?
Correct.
Other questions on IT?
Yeah, the upgrade should be done before we get the other program going to be able to withstand the new.
So this project management, this contract is basically focused on all the projects that they have ongoing. So like the new phone system, with that was just implemented. the .gov project, getting that going. They'll be working with communications department. All the new requirements for city council meetings, they'll need to focus on those projects to bring in the meetings where we have to be with interpretations with what are some of the other requirements so those are the types of projects that they're doing. They're like more of the day-to-day big projects that are due. So they're working with our current IT staff to make sure that those projects actually are flowing through with the help of, on the ground is our IT staff. The ERP project that's like a whole other, sort of like a huge big project, because that really needs to focus just on citywide, right? So it's not only our financial system, but it also needs to meet the requirements of like community development. Their permits need to sort of flow through there. Animal control has Camille, that needs to flow through there. Community services also has Active Network. So that project of their ERP system, it includes whatever other systems that the city currently uses, how it could be integrated, and how it's going to work with our new system. I hope that makes sense. So.
It does, but my fear is to have two consultants that really, there's gonna be some overlap and then not having communication there and just having a bigger mess at the end than what we started with. So, because that happens here more frequently than we probably would like to say. So, just wanna make sure that everybody's on the same page and communicating, because when we talk about IT, whether it's, community facing or staff facing or whatever, it touches everything, right? And so, I just want to make sure it's done correctly, because I feel like we put a lot of money into IT, and I feel like through the last budget cycle, that was a major focus, and I don't know that we're where I expected us to be with the amount of money that was allocated last year for the things that we asked to be done. So, or that we were told that were going to be done with the funds that were allocated. And I know there's staffing issues in all the things over there, and there's a lot going on, but
I guess with that, there should not be any competing objectives between the two consultants. One is specifically slated to work on one specific project, what they're being paid for, versus the other is also working on their own specific projects. And then with ERP, that consultant will be coordinating with the IT manager or third-party consultant being utilized for IT management right now to ensure coherence with the current city infrastructure.
now, I get it. I work for a government bureaucracy as well, and I've been on the receiving end as a staff member when things don't communicate with each other the way we've all been told they're supposed to. So as long as it's on your radar, that's fine, but there's nothing more frustrating than getting a whole new phone system and then it doesn't work, or it doesn't work the way it was supposed to when you were sold a bill of goods. So I want to just make sure it's on the radar, and that staff is cognizant of that. Because I feel like that, like if you talk about frustration and frustrations that can be created, it's usually on the IT side, and that's from a customer service side and our residents not getting the service they expect, and then on the staff side as well when you're trying to do your job and things aren't the way they're supposed to be. So just trying to minimize that frustration, and I get where you're saying like this person's going to work on this thing and this person's going to work on this thing, but then again I'm going to go back to when they're siloed and they're not communicating, that's when we're going to have potential issues. So yeah, just keeping that kind of on the radar for them.
Question on the server room. Last year, didn't we allocate money for that?
Yes, you did, but this is just letting you know that this will be a focus of the department in the fiscal year 27. Is be able to get to it in fiscal year 26, but it will be a primary focus into the next fiscal year. So,
But the money was allocated.
Correct.
Last budget.
In the CIP, yes it is.
Thank you.
And I guess, Amanda, that's going to take me to another kind of question off of Councilmember Newton's. Is the physical expansion of the server room, is that being done in-house with our staff, or is that going to be outside?
Yeah, what we're actually looking at is, I don't want to say a Connex box, but something external that would be placed in the breezeway outside. So it's a standalone unit. That's what we're looking at right now. We do have a consultant right now, and I was working on this with Matt because we do have money this year allocated for design. But it looks like, Matt was really interested in this external server room, and so we are looking at those options right now. And also the new consultant, Tom, is also looking at that. So we're still trying to wrap it up, get some quotes to see what's actually feasible, and then, present that to the council when we do go for construction.
I would not like a Connex box. That's the only way you can do it, but I wouldn't like that.
It's a lot fancier than a Connex box. It is insulated. We have been looking at these. They are highly recommended. It would be difficult to do a TI, but we can also look at that option. We're just exploring options right now this time.
Well, make it look nice then.
Absolutely.
Well, that's why I was hesitating that if it's an external setup, I mean, it still has to be self-contained,
Absolutely.
right? Zone heating and cooling, etc. But we're not giving up interior floor space.
Correct.
In case we need floor space for future expansion. I think originally we were planning on doing it within our walls.
Yes, we were looking at the public works area that right now that has plans. We were looking at that. The problem with City Hall is we run out of space. We don't have enough storage area. We don't have enough space for all the employees and the storage needs here. And so that was the idea of we're not taking away any space from any other department. It would be fully contained exterior. We would, put a gate in that breezeway. We would secure it, but it would be a standalone server room.
Is this being interfaced with the electrical design you're doing for City Hall?
We have taken that into consideration. Yes, we have been looking at that, and we have had IT involved in that as well.
So that'll be a portion of.
Correct.
Okay. Thanks.
Alrighty, Public Works. Overall, their focus will be on CIP and other CIP projects and other departmental functions. One new project that they'll be kind of slating into the CIP project, is a little bit of a teaser, is a South Norco Channel project. This will be approximately $25 million project funded through the county flood control. This will install various channel improvements and convey the 100-year tributary, tributary, thank you, flows and reduce the floodplain for several properties along the project boundaries. If there are any questions, I can, myself or Sam can address those for you.
Sam, what are the project boundaries?
Project boundaries start downstream at that vacant parcel on Park Ridge Avenue that's got the humongous head wall that's adjacent to the Hope People's homes. Basically, it goes through 5 or 6 3-bar residence lanes on the private side, goes beneath Park Ridge, goes behind the 6 to 7 homes on the public 3-bar lane. Then it goes under First Street, goes through the Palomino property, then under a mountain, and then continues northeasterly direction to its terminus at Hammer Avenue.
So expand on the portion that goes through Palomino. How does that impact that development? I'm assuming that's the channel and they were going to build a bridge over that?
They've known about the forthcoming storm drain project since they basically first stepped in building, yes.
Right.
That's actually a condition of approval to basically work with us to give us the right of way we need. So they divided their map up to at the time what we thought was going to be. Now they're going through their phase 2 review. basically giving them all the stuff to make sure that whatever they do out there, whether we come first or they come first, they know exactly where we need to be. And then at that part of that project's going to finish the rest of the mountain right there, which is all kind of foobarred and kind of very narrow.
All right.
So, and then once we're done with that on Park Ridge, because it goes on Park Ridge Road, then we have the street improvement project that's going to get all of that done, which people complained about. It's pretty terrible. So we're kind of waiting for all that to go down. Unfortunately, what's taking a long time is real property acquisition. So we're asking very nicely to these people in about, I think it's like 15 different people between businesses and residences, pretty pleased with sugar on top and having property. And some of them are like, here you go, other ones don't even talk to me. So hopefully we don't have to go through any type of eminent domain process with the county. I got one person that was like all about it, and then she's selling the house, and she was the hardest customer. I got everything she needed. He's like, well, I'm out of here. So I'm like, ugh. So it's been challenging nonetheless, and this is something that was left on my desk as Chad departed for another city.
And this is completely funded by flood control.
Yeah, so you'll see a forthcoming funding agreement totaling about $25 million plus for everything.
This may go back to Colby, but on Palomino, where are they with their second phase? And because I know they were trying to get it done at the end of last year, or there's no, and I guess that with the flood control.
Okay. Would you mind if I ask Lacey for a second phase update? Lacey, do you have any information on Palomino second phase?
They're currently in manager, waiting on the planning department, and hopefully they will be in construction by the end of the year.
So they are hot on it. I have a meeting with Palomino, the partners, and coming up in a week or so.
Okay.
Also a separate meeting with their brokers, Lean Associates. They have some remainder pieces of property that they're looking to sell that are less than an acre. That they're looking to potentially do some housing or something else. I don't know what their formalized ideas yet there, but they have some other parcels that they want to push into some other use.
We can talk about that later. So, as long as that project and your flood control, you're on the same page with it. Thanks.
Any other questions?
All right, we are in the home stretch. Last two departments will be public safety, starting off with sheriff. This will include their annual contract increase, which is approximately 7.5%. Also, they are looking for a new vehicle for the Norco Citizen Patrol, which is in need of a replacement, as the current vehicle is costing more and more to maintain. It is an older model vehicle, but most of this will be funded through the vehicle replacement fund. With that, happy to address any questions.
Did we already just buy a new vehicle?
That was for fire.
No, I thought we bought
No,
we got one at 50.
Yeah, we just bought the fire. Yeah, we bought the 150 last budget year. That's really the only vehicle that's operational at this moment. We have older Escapes, and they are hybrids, and they are falling apart.
Yeah,
So
they
we
are falling
definitely, I wouldn't recommend another truck. I would recommend a smaller SUV
Like you were saying before.
for everyone to drive.
Maverick?
I wouldn't recommend a Maverick. I would recommend a smaller SUV.
Yeah.
As much as I like Jim Housley, I think we ought to be getting them all used cars.
Well, the truck was used.
The truck was.
Well, yeah, it's the one that got damaged in the car wash.
Well, as I remember, it did get any damage. Because it was a truck.
So they are in need of replacement vehicles. So I think we can keep one of them running, but one of them we definitely need to take out of service.
You need a total of 3 vehicles. No?
Yeah, 3. We have the truck, and then we have the 2 Escapes. But I think this request is only for 1 vehicle, correct?
It's plural vehicles.
2? I do recommend it. They really, Todd's constantly maintaining them. The service calls are on a weekly basis for those vehicles.
And we surplus those out.
Correct.
Or we trade them in.
Everything goes to surplus.
And then we buy those through like the fleet, the state deal or whatever.
Sometimes we get 3 bids. Lowest bid, we did that with the truck, and Todd found a great deal in Orange County, and it was under that threshold of the budget. So we 3 bid it, or we could go through Sourcewell, but sometimes Sourcewell is a little bit more expensive.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Where do we get them repaired?
Various locations, if they're under warranty, we'll take it back to Hamburg, or I know the guys have a maintenance place in town. I can't tell you exactly where it is, but I know that they have various places that they go to in town.
I know I used to, and they keep saying that they wish the city would use them.
I've heard that too. I think there's prior experiences that the city has had that has led them not to be used.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I do have one. Can we get an update on the vacancy with the motor officer? And that's coming online.
Yes, they have selected an officer. They expect to bring it on board shortly, and he still needs to go to the motor training, but he has all his certification for patrol, so he's that part is good to go. So we're hoping to get him in June to fully staffed.
Could you follow up on that? Because every time I've asked the lieutenant, it's April, a couple of weeks. Then it's 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks.
2 weeks, Jessica.
Well, I did see
Will do.
when a motor officer was here for a while, covering for our traffic unit we have here. I seen a motor officer here working at least 2 days. I don't know the reason for that, but I thought we had already had one, but by seeing him.
No, I do know that they selected one, and he is a Norco resident, so they're just.
Yeah, I would appreciate it if you could pin the lieutenant down on a date, because it's soon.
Will do.
Alrighty, so let's bring us to the fire department. Their annual contract increase, which is approximately 4.5%. Also a request for a new piece of equipment for a enclosed trailer for their side-by-side. Currently they are borrowing a trailer from the sheriff, but they are looking to have a enclosed trailer of their own to ensure appropriate transportation and safeguarding of the side-by-side. Lastly is to address community needs for staffing of a ladder truck to appropriately respond to an incident with buildings over a certain height. For this part of it, I would like to pass it along to Chief Otterman, who can go into detail how a proposed agreement for this staffing would look like. Chief Otterman?
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of the City Council. So I know I brought this to you all last year. Same thing. I think we have an opportunity. Let me kind of backtrack real quick. This is not for this coming fiscal year. I think if the City of Eastville agrees to purchase a truck, that truck takes about 2 years to build. And we're looking at 2 years before this would come into effect. So I really do think that the City of Norco has a need for a ladder truck. We have 3 hotels. 2 of them are 4 stories, one's a 3-story. We have college, all of our schools, the prison, which is about to be vacated. We have the CarMax. We have tons of traffic on the 15 freeway. that all justify why we would need a truck company in the city of Norco. And what I'm asking is that at least consider maybe going into negotiations with the city of Eastville and see what that looks like, cost-wise and how that can be shared. So that's kind of my ask when it comes to the truck. There's definitely a need. I know I pushed it every year I've been here, but now they're getting close to approving a truck, and I really think that that truck needs to be Norco as well.
So Chief, I have a couple questions then.
Yes.
With the ladder truck comes a need for a fire station to accommodate, so I'm assuming by your ask that that truck would be in Eastvale. Do they have a station to accommodate a ladder truck?
They do, Station 27, right there near Silver Lakes.
Okay.
One on Hammer, Silver Lakes.
So then I guess my question would be, and again, if I'm incorrect, please tell me, because I've been going round and round for county on a couple things. My understanding is under CAL FIRE contracts were mutual aid. So what would be the difference of having mutual aid versus going in on a ladder truck?
So you're talking about the cooperative fire
Yes.
protection agreement. So yes, if that truck was there in the city of Eastville, bought that, are you asking if that truck would still run calls into the city market? It would. The intent of the agreement is not to shift responsibility onto another portion of the contract and try to share those contracts. And that's why I'm trying to advocate for us having ownership in that truck, because it would run probably 20% of its calls into the city of Norco.
Okay, so I guess I need to understand why Norco would need to contribute. And the only reason I asked Chief is because we've been going round and round about an annexation issue where we're told, well, it's covered by CAL FIRE and it's because of cooperative agreements, and Norco services county area all the time, right?
Yes.
And so, I don't want Norco to be a burden on other places, but all of us pay for a contract for services and for our equipment and those types of things. So us contributing to a ladder truck in Eastvale, at the end of the day, if Eastvale has a call, that ladder truck's gonna go to an Eastvale call. If, Norco is at the same time, then we're gonna get the ladder, from 17 or wherever it came from,
Correct.
for AutoZone the other day, right?
It could be the opposite as well. If there was a ladder truck call in the city of Norco, then Eastville's going to get the next closest truck.
So I go back to, on an issue like that, is there some mechanism within the CAL FIRE and how they do the contracts that those cities that would be potentially serviced by that truck share the expense of that truck, instead of us making a handshake deal with Eastvale, say we're gonna pay a certain percentage or a portion of that truck? Because it won't give us priority necessarily if we contribute to the truck, right? It is what it is as far as the
Nor
contracts
does it
go.
for anybody. So
Right.
if that was needed in the city of Moreno Valley, let's say, and they had a 3-alarm fire, then they would send that truck, that next closest truck. It might be our truck from the one that we're proposing to put in. It might go to Moreno Valley. But on the other side of it, we could have a 3-alarm fire here, and we're going to get that truck from Moreno Valley. So basically, yes, it is kind of buying into the truck program and having percentage of that truck that's paid for by it. And that's where I want those negotiations to happen between the two cities. That's kind of how the contract works as we add equipment into service.
So there's not a way on the backside with CAL FIRE to,
Well, it's really not
Figure
even
that-
CAL FIRE, it's more, this is,
or Riverside County?
yeah, Riverside County. So CAL FIRE is the contractor for Riverside County Fire Department, and then the city contracts with the Riverside County Fire Department.
So I'm just, again, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around it. Is there some way, because you're saying we're at least 2 years out, that on the county side, whatever that cost is, and whatever cities that the county can reasonably deduce that that truck would go to calls, because you guys have the data where the incidence calls are and all of those things.
Absolutely.
Can look at putting that into the contract on the backside, evenly dispersed between those cities that would be serviced potentially by that truck. Like, for example, the ladder truck at 17, like,
Correct.
how was that purchased, or who purchased that truck when it was paid for?
So that truck is owned by the county. That's a county station, even though it's in the city of Fruit Valley. There's a whole agreement that would take me forever to explain with Fruit Valley. But that truck and station is a county fire station that does service this area. But, like for instance, we had the AutoZone incident last week, and that was our closest in truck. And that's about 17 to 15 minutes away. If the sprinklers had not done their job, we've been looking probably at a total loss of that building. So if we have a truck a lot closer, we can definitely have a lot more options to say property life first, and then property obviously with a truck.
Council have other questions?
Yeah, on that, don't we have mutual aid with Corona?
We do, but that's a mutual aid agreement between the Riverside County Fire and the city of Corona for services in, for the Norco advantage on that side is Norco Hills and the very south end of the city of Norco. So it's not for anything out of those areas that are depicted in the agreement. So it's basically for structural firefighting or structure fires, for us to give them resources in certain areas of their city, and vice versa, for them to give us resources in certain areas of the city of Norco.
So like what you're saying, if with AutoZone 17 could not have been there, would we not have called Corona?
Yeah, they would have put a request in for the nearest truck. It could have came from Ontario, and that's if they're available.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So okay.
Putting a new truck here in Eastville, where the need is Eastville and Norco, just gives us another piece of apparatus to put in the mix. That if something big were to happen, we're going to have something closer here. And if it was gone on another one, then we're going to tap in to the next closest.
So in the cooperative agreement, what are you thinking? What are you proposing?
Well,
is this a 50-50 split?
That would be where the negotiations between the city needs to happen. I don't want to get involved in negotiation. I want to just emphasize that the need we have for a truck here, there is a need. So that would be something that we look at. I can run data, numbers, and tell you exactly how many calls would be ran in Eastville versus if we had a truck there right now versus Norco. And then I think the cities could probably come to an agreement based off of that. So.
Okay, so in previous conversations, ladder truck is, if I recall, like $3.5 million.
Okay, well, I can give you the numbers. So basically, the cost for a truck that they're going to try to purchase it's called a quint. So it comes with a pump. It's not your standard tow behind like TDA, tractor drawn. So it's a quint that comes with a pump and a 107-foot ladder, which would reach just about up to 8-9 stories. And it is the base cost is $2.1 million with a 10%. They'll always put it like a 10% contingency, so about $2.4 million for the cost of the truck, and then there's probably another close to $400,000 for the equipment to be bought, put on the truck.
So start at $3 million.
So about 2.8 million. So
and on that truck, is that a 3-man or a 4-man?
no, that's a 4-man. So it'd be
So you're talking 12 additional firefighters.
12 additional firefighters. Yep. And it would be an ALS unit as well. That's the goal, is to make it an ALS unit, which can still run over in the city of Norco on medical aids if our engines are busy, and that's the closest resource. We go off the closest resource concept. That truck will be over here running medical aids as well. I don't know if you want to know the staffing, like what that would break down.
Yeah, but with that, with your staffing, what is the annual cost of that staff?
So that staffing, if you were the full burden, remember we always
Right.
quote at the full burden, the highest rate is roughly $3.2 million to staff the truck on an annual basis.
So then who would bear the burden of the staffing if it's an Eastvale truck, but we paid into the truck? Are we paying into the staffing, or does that fall under
So-
Eastvale's contract?
Again, that would be where cities would negotiate that, the city managers would look at those numbers and see what that would look like. How that portion would be split. So, and I don't want to get into like, okay, it'll be this because that's really not my lane. I just want to emphasize the need for it.
So they already run a lot of help to Silver Lakes. I know that they come right across the street quite a bit. As we all know, our number one issue is public safety. Eastvale is difficult. I mean, we just got into a big to-do with them regarding the amount of money they get from the Amazon Center. And then I was also told, so I just worry through the years we've just had difficulty with them. And I worry that maybe something will happen. I mean, how do we overcome or navigate the politics from the get-go? I also was told by Councilman Dinko that they will purchase the truck. What they're really interested in is just us helping with the cost of the staff. And you said 3.5 million?
3.2, roughly 3.2. Right. Tiny bit over that.
I also, in talking to Mr. Previty, he said that he'd be willing to pony up some money for the fire truck. And I'm also wondering, going back to the public safety CFP, I'm just wondering if maybe we should plan to eventually buy our own ladder truck, because I think the Navy base has a building that would require it. They've got that huge lab. I don't know how many, 8, 9 apartments are over there, 4-story apartments.
Norco Valley School.
Also, you said Corona does South Norco, but they actually came and put out fires on the second floor at one of the senior housing developments, just right down here. So they came, and had they not been around, that whole building probably might have burned, I don't know. I'm just wondering if we need to really think this through, figure out a way to buy our own fire truck, and find a way, maybe through this public safety CFD. I mean, we have a lot of tall buildings now, and I'm concerned, but in your opinion, would it be more cost effective to band with Eastvale?
Absolutely, yes. It would be more cost effective than to have your own truck.
And do you think that we'd be able to withstand the politics? Because in a catastrophic incident, I kind of know where that truck's going to go. If all of a sudden you have an earthquake or something, I just worry that they might all of a sudden we have public opinion saying, well, that's our fire truck, we paid for it.
Yeah, that's not how the agreement works. So it's wherever the call is needed at that time. If that call is in Norco, it's coming to Norco. If it's in Eastvale or if you get Norco Valley, they have multiple fires going on, and there's nothing going on in Eastvale or Norco, that truck's going to go to where the fire is in Norco Valley. And like I said, it could happen either way. So what it does is put another apparatus, ladder truck in the mix, and one that's a lot closer, a lot quicker response time to the city of Norco. And that's the important part to remember. We're going to have something right there if something happens.
No, I agree with you. I understand.
And there is always a chance that there's fire going on somewhere else, and that apparatus gets punched out somewhere else.
I worry about an earthquake. Where will those resources go? Which I guess is always a problem. But then I look back to the fact that Eastville did not support our RTRP effort. I'm wondering if somehow we can bring that up in these negotiations to say, hey, you do understand that we have some issues here.
Yeah,
And maybe not. I'm asking you. You're the expert.
Like I said, I was the fire chief in Eastville for a while there and River Valley before we added another position. So I know, at least at the city level, at the city staff level, I know they definitely want to engage, and I'm pretty sure their council does as well, from what I'm hearing, into some kind of negotiations to partner with the city of Norco for a ladder track.
That's all I have.
I have one other question, Chief. So, Councilmember Bash brought up buying our own truck. We have a fire department currently that will house a ladder truck.
Oh, absolutely. Station 47.
Oh, 47 will fit.
So a couple of comments to that.
Okay.
And to Kevin also that if you're looking at a payroll of $3.2 million a year, at the current rate, that's also going to increase 4.5% a year.
Right.
Yes, just
Right.
like the contract that we're paying for our engines, it's always going to
And then
increase.
I know this all goes with negotiations and all of that. We could consider staffing a position on a truck. I mean, say, okay, we'll pay for a captain. That way, we can get city logo on the fire truck and have it in the parade. That's about going to be the value of it. As much as I appreciate what CAL FIRE does, I know the direction that we had headed pre-2010 before we went to CAL FIRE, and you can always say there's a need for a ladder truck. I understand that. It's a piece of equipment, it's a tool, it's not a tool that you use all the time, but it's the correct tool when you need it, okay? But it's also a budget buster. You want to bust a city budget, invest in a ladder truck, unless you're one of the big boys. When Norco Ridge Ranch was developed, council at that time, the developer said he'd build a fire station. Council could not afford to man it, okay? And that's why that didn't happen. The building's easy. It's the equipment and the labor. And my other concern, this goes way back in conversations. As far as public safety, I'm going to say 98% of our costs are medical, or calls are medical.
Maybe a little less than that. Yeah, a lot of
95?
Yeah, I'd have to pull the stats.
It's a bunch, though.
Yeah.
It's the majority. That, for our residents, I think that maybe we look at funding a paramedic squad out of 14 across from the auto zone there, that state station. That's the majority cost, our medical.
Yeah. So that's the majority until one of the apartments burns. And that's my concern. And that's why I was thinking that this idea, maybe we should explore the public safety CFD with specific purpose of partnering or whatever to get a ladder truck. Maybe we need to figure out a way to fund it, because I was there when the fire department almost buried us. I remember that. I just worry that we will not be prepared for a catastrophic incident. And I also worry with Eastville that in the event that there's a major fire that happens at the riverbed, where's that truck? Where's all that stuff gonna go? Now, we've been lucky because when we have had fires, it's been demonstrated that CAL FIRE was Johnny on the spot. Twice, 3 times, twice. So, I just think we should link it. I agree with you, Greg, but I think maybe if we look at the public safety CFD, I think maybe we need to look at that and just go, okay, we see this need, and maybe we link it that way. Because buying the truck is not that difficult. It's the staffing. You know? So that's all I have.
Well, can I comment to that, Kevin? Is that more of a little history lesson that 2010 when we made the change to go to CAL FIRE, it's because CAL FIRE, Riverside County CAL FIRE office offered us world-class service at any of our needs. You'd always meet them. So that, to me, was the biggest thing. We're going to team up with a first-class organization.
And you still have that.
Oh, I know we do.
Yes.
There's no doubt about
But with
Right.
development and all
it.
that.
No doubt about it. But we've got to be able to afford you also.
Maybe we link that to, because you know, the other thing that's going to come down the pike now is if you end up putting a lot of people into the prison site, let's say you are able to adaptively reuse some of those buildings. A couple of those buildings are 6 stories high. One's 7 stories, actually.
Right.
And you have the ones up on top of the hill. Those are 2 stories. I would just hate for there to be a...
I think if we got to that point in the future with developing the prison and all of that and the hotel, that a developer is going to bear that burden of...
And that's why I say going back to the privity group, I mean, let's have a look at that. Let's look at, as these guys come down the pike, maybe that's one of the ways you fund that. I think we have to creatively fund it so it doesn't bust the bank.
I think we're behind on that deal. We should have had the CFD on those apartments, but he's not going to pony up for a truck.
Yeah, ask him. Why not?
But asking him to be nice to our staff first,
Just 2 questions.
not to be a jerk.
Let them talk.
I just let them talk because they were asking most of the stuff I was going to ask. On the trailer, you were asking for an enclosed trailer.
Yes.
Is there a reason for that other than a flatbed trailer?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first and foremost is the security of it. The security and the preservation of the actual vehicle. It's part of the county spec. Like the county orders one from one of the county stations that comes with an enclosed trailer. I didn't want to throw that burden all at once at the city, so I was like, hey, next year, let's ask for a truck to, in case it has to get moved out of the Station 47, or it'll be enclosed, protected from weather, all that. We'll be able to use it for additional storage, and it'll be our own trailer, the city's trailer, when we take it somewhere. We're not using the sheriff's trailer, so.
Okay. And then the other one was going with the ladder truck. I feel the same way as Greg and Kevin. But I'm just afraid if we get a ladder truck over there. I don't know how it would work, but I think if we're gonna get a ladder truck, it'd almost be the same amount of money if we just add one more guy and leave the truck sitting over there at 47. So if we need it, we can jump in it and bring it to us and just have it for ourselves. And I know with CAL FIRE, if it comes needed, we're gonna lose the whole truck, but it kind of defeats the purpose if we're gonna buy the money for the truck and then it may be gone when we need it. That's what I'm afraid of. I have no problem with getting a truck. I think we're gonna need it. I agree with Kevin 100%, Greg 100%. I'm just afraid if we get the truck over there, it's not that we'll be able to get one. We're just going to get one from a further away, and we're already there right now. That truck's going to go to calls, and the odds of it, like you said, having paramedics on it, the odds of it not being ready for us to use is going to be high because of the amount of calls you're going to be going out of that station.
So it's like crapshoot. We're not going to be able to get it when we need it. That's my thought. I think we need it, and I think we need it at the station. And if we could pony up the money to get one more guy to be able, because it takes 4, we have 3 at the station, correct? So we add one more guy. Now we have our own, and we just have added another guy, which would be like 3 or 4 guys to bring that up. That's my thought. I don't know if we can do that with the contract we have with you. And that's just something that I'm asking.
Yeah, so even if we did do that, it would be the same. That truck could get dispatched somewhere else, just as easy as it could in the city of Eastville.
Mm-hmm.
So just looking at the call volume in each city, it would probably get used more in Eastville because they have a larger number of calls than we do. But if that need arises for a truck, we're going to have one close. And they will try to get that truck here if there's an incident, fire at one of the apartments or at the hotel or wherever it's needed. If there's a technical rescue, there's a lot of functions that a truck can perform.
Which is perfect for us.
Yep, it is, it really is.
But looking at other cities, I'm not saying CAL FIRE, because I don't exactly know how CAL FIRE works, but I know how the cities work. I'll see a ladder truck go to a traffic accident because that's the next one that's closest.
Absolutely.
And by what you just said, there's a lot more going on over there. So the odds of us not getting our own truck when we need it is pretty high. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think you'll still see it over here running calls quite a bit.
Yeah. Question on the side-by-sides. So we have the new side-by-side, and so we want a new trailer. Do you have an idea of that cost for the trailer?
Yes, Josh, you have the numbers in front of you.
Yes, it's approximately 15,000.
15?
Yeah, 15,000.
And the sheriff uses their trailer. We're just borrowing theirs?
Yes. So, we've been borrowing their trailer to put the side-by-side on the transport. So.
And then the sheriff has 2 side-by-sides and the Polaris. What I'm thinking, we need to surplus 2 of those side-by-sides or the Polaris. One, sheriff has a new one, and then there's 2 that nobody's using. I think.
They should go to Park and Racks.
I could check with Jessica and we can look at that. I'm not certain exactly.
They're in really good shape.
Pardon?
We should keep them in here like Ingalls or Parks and Rec for just food.
I think it's the sheriff's.
They're sheriffs?
I think so.
County or ours?
That I don't know. We have a bunch of vehicles sitting there that we're not using. That we can agree with.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know if those are city-owned or those are sheriffs.
You check on that?
We could look into that.
And I know you were talking about medical aids versus...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably more closer to 80-20.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit 75-25, but get more fires than you think. So,
Yeah.
other kinds of incidents.
Lately.
Yeah. No, it's the right piece of equipment when we have that specific need.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt. But I think, the paramedic side of it too, especially with developments coming up, apartments, whatever. But 80-20?
Yeah, roughly. I can pull the stats and get you exactly the stats for the last
I mean, it's,
10 years on how much medical aids versus other types of calls that we run.
well, I know we looked at it, Mayor and I, the area that we talked about annexing off Bluff, and the majority were medical. Thank you, Mayor.
So on that particular item, do we have council direction on how to proceed? We would ideally like council direction to discuss, do you want, this option is, do you want us to provide you more data, authorize city staff to begin negotiations with Eastvale and report back, or proceed with operations as is?
Any comments to the questions that Josh was asked?
More information?
I'll go with that as well, more data.
I'd like more data, but I'd also like to think about the public safety CFD. To maybe look at that to see if we could actually, I don't know, could we get 2/3 vote in the city of Norco to get a new ladder truck and get additional staffing for public safety?
That makes these voting for that one easier, having an identified asset or service into that. When we get around to formulating that, that can be definitely formulated into it as finance takes the lead on taking on that initiative.
Question to that then, when you're looking at developing a CFD, that would be under the direction of a consultant and another cost to the city, correct?
Correct. That's why we put it into the initiatives to put those approximated costs into the budget.
Mayor. Look, I wanted to answer Josh's question first on that, not go, but on the CFD, just like an LMD, this is something that we would impose out of community development. When a developer comes forward, I want to build some apartments at River and Second, okay? You're going to have an LMD, you're going to have a CFD. Correct me if I'm...
That's correct. That's how they're usually imposed, because you have one property owner, and the property owner votes 100% for the CFD because that's how they get approved.
Mm-hmm.
That's for new development. If you want to do a broader CFD to existing development, then we need to get the 2/3 vote. If you want to do a parcel tax,
I'm sorry, I was conflating parcel tax and public safety CFD together. I'm sorry.
Gotcha. All right.
I also think we maybe need to look at parcel tax, so I'm not real in favor of taxes in some ways, but I got it. One of those apartments catches fire, or the Navy base, that one of those labs catches fire, or even in the hills, you realize you've got houses that are essentially 3 stories high. And I worry that, somebody gets, we had it happen over on, right across the street from the Hedges. That lady got caught in her 2nd floor. They couldn't get to her. She burned to death. So I just don't want to see that happen, is all.
I do have some stats if you guys want to hear them. About a month ago, I went to our analyst and see if we had a truck at Station 27 right now, how many of those calls would have been used for a truck between the city of Eastvale and the city of Norco. So the numbers came out to, there have been 1,311 calls for truck-related incidents. 194 of those would have been for the city of Norco, and that's from 2021 to 2000, last month of this year. So 194 of those in those 5 years would have been truck-related calls. That's average about 40 calls a year into the city of Norco for truck-related calls.
And a projected $3.2 million just for staffing. What would that work out to be per call?
Yeah, if you guys had your own truck, I don't know.
Yeah. the cost of the truck and the maintenance
Yeah.
and on and on
So
and on.
that's why we're proposing negotiation between the two cities and what those numbers might look like.
Anything else on fire?
All right, so before we kind of do the concluding slide, I do want to kick it back over to our city manager, who does have a update response on the mayor and Councilmember Newton's question on the motor officer.
I did confirm with Lieutenant Hall, which she also apologizes for not being able to attend tonight. The motor has been selected and is expected to start April 16th. He is traffic trained, so we'll be starting traffic enforcement once he arrives. He is not motor trained. The training for motor training will start in June. And the current motorcycle is still waiting for one more part in order to be delivered, but that is hopefully also, motorcycle is expected to be delivered hopefully by the end of the fiscal year. If it's not, then they will be looking to borrow a motorcycle once he's ready for to start.
We got two around, so we're not using.
I have a probably clarifying question on that. So the motor training would be in June, so does that take that particular person out of service for the period of their training?
That I will have to follow up with.
Yeah, I don't need the answer right away. but
Okay.
they will know.
All right. In closing, based on the responses from the various different departments and council input, staff will be going back to their respective budgets to incorporate those items. Guidance will be help us bring back a balanced budget, prioritize these items to align within those budgets, and we would then follow up with a final presentation in May. With that, I'd be happy to kick back to any general questions or comments on any budget priority initiatives of council.
Councilmember Newton?
I think I've said enough.
Councilmember Sullivan? Councilmember Batch?
This is a really minuscule thing, Amanda, but I'm wondering if we might be able to look at getting a newspaper scanner and contacting like newspapers.com, because we have a lot of newspapers that are deteriorating in the historic room, and we might be able to sell those copies to cover the cost of an actual newspaper scanner. I'm just wondering if we could look at that. Otherwise, I'll try to find a way to buy the scanner with outside funds. And then, but there is, I personally contact the newspaper archives, and they don't have the local newspapers, the Daily Independent, they ceased, they don't have copies past 1977. And so we have a ton of newspapers, posts, and the thing is generally speaking, once you scan them, you don't have to print those newspapers anymore. And one of the things they can do is you can actually sell the old Norco Beacon. There's things you can do to do that. And then the other thing is there some way we might be able to get some display cases over there, because some of the things we have are quite valuable. And he doesn't want to put those out because they're not protected. And again, if it comes back too expensive, then maybe I can find a way to fund it from the outside and work in tandem with you. But that's something that I think he needs over there.
I can work with the city clerk on that and to see what's needed. We'll also talk to James and we can see how much, what's needed, and we could potentially put that in the budget.
And then maybe I can help out with from the outside. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Bowen?
No good.
So I guess just my final comments would be, and Josh, I know you mentioned a balanced budget, and we have the strategic plan. I'm going to just ask, as staff's going through making their budgets, that you look at what the core values are for our community and how you've been doing on a staff reports, like this is the strategic plan, we're meeting this goal or whatever. Maybe to keep it in the forefront for staff, start putting that. on the staff reports, or just kind of putting those things in mind when you're making your list of asks for the budget cycle coming up? Ideally, we want a balanced budget, right? And I don't think we've had one like presented since I've been on council. There have been years where, by grace of God, or different things have happened, and we've come back to have a balanced budget. What I don't want is a budget that appears to be balanced, but it's not. Because it's going to come in, it's going to come out on the backside. And so, if things aren't great, I think I would rather know that up front and deal with that than to be told, oh, everything's fine. We have a balanced budget. We do look through the budget and we look at the things. There's one specific item that I brought up last year. I was told that's fine, it'll be in the positive, and then it was found out later that it is in the negative, and that's being resolved this budget cycle. But just, come forward with a transparent and accurate budget for us, please. So that would be my only comments. So, anything else? All right.